Hey guys, Cam315 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another More Than a Married Couple episode review for you guys as we're continuing, I guess, this little arc as as the show is ending off. So that's something because right now we only got two more episodes left to go into this anime, and I'm going to miss this anime. I really hope this anime gets a confirmed season 2. I really do enjoy this anime. But I already know for a fact, but I already know that after these last two anime episodes are out and they're done and the series is over, I'm reading the manga because I love this series. I love this series and I want to see this development and growth of Jiro's and Akari's relationship, man. If we're talking about development of the freaking series, or in terms of the relationship, this episode takes the cake the most part. You know, it's funny because the last few episodes, I've been asking, like, can we get some more Akari and Jiro moments, please? Can we get more focus on the relationship? Because nothing, again, wrong with the last few episodes. The last few episodes are fine. But again, it's a pattern you see when you watch this show is when they're not focusing on the two main characters, which are Jirou and Akari, you tend to lose, I guess, a little bit of luster in the episode, and you kind of just feel like you're sitting there like, cool. I want to see the relationship develop and grow between the two characters that obviously are opposites, but they're definitely attracting to each other. And this episode, man, you know, it's funny because this episode we've had some spicy moments the last in a few episodes here and there. Like there were some spicy moments. And there were moments where it looked like Akari and Jiro might get it on and might do it right then and there. This episode alone, I was literally thinking, I'm like, there's no way, bro. You know, with the fact that they were also bringing up the topic earlier in the episode in the bath scene with the girls about doing it and everything, which is pretty much the whole main thing of having sex. Um, I literally thought they were like Jiro and Akari were this close to probably doing it, bro. If not for Jiro's heat stroke, or his mild heat stroke, I think they might have went all the way because when a guy freaking says that isn't my leg, it's something else, and you know, like, oh, absolutely hilarious. But this week's episode, I guess, develops Jiro and Akari's relationship like absolute craziness. Now, next week's title is called More Than Confession, but Not Yet a Broken Heart. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I'm guessing there's going to be confession next week. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a confession in the way of like Jiro finally making up his mind on who he potentially wants to be with, but I think that's where we're headed, which I think we know it's going to be more than likely Akari unless they freaking swerve us and he chooses Shiori, which would be so weird, but nothing wrong. But anyways, last week's episode ended off in a cliffhanger where, oh, they're like, hey, let's go. May and Shiori are like, hey, let's go to let's go to the hotel. I'm like, oh god, don't tell me we're gonna go to some hotel and we're gonna get like weird things going on that are gonna put, you know, people compromised in situations. No, they don't really go inside the hotel. They just go near the hotel beach. They just stay on the beach, and the hotel's within the vicinity. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the thing. They're making like a sand castle and everything. And Shiori's like, hey, you know, we should make, you know, obviously like a door for the castle, like we used to do when we were kids, you know, Jiro. You know how we always would dig or put our hands in the sandcastle and we find our hands and touch hands, and they do it and they touch hands and she's like, ah, we touch hands just like we did when we were little. In the meantime, you're getting like booty shots from freaking Shiori in her bikini. Also too, Camo can't keep it under control because he's like, Jiro, this might be the closest we might get to girls in a bikini. I'm like, Jiro's actually been he's been very close to girls in damn near their bikini slash undergarments. So hey, listen, he's already fine with that. And he gets a look at Shiori, he's like, she buttons up all the way all the time. She never shows her cleavage or anything. And this man's zoning off, and in the meantime, Akari's looking at all this, and she's getting jealous, and she's like, "Oh, look at those two getting a lovey-dovey. I freaking hate it." Um, so you can clearly see, like, okay, she's definitely jealous. She does not like when Jirou is around other girls, which she actually does make a mention about that, in this week's episode, how she was telling Jirou, like, hey, I don't like you around other girls and everything. It makes me feel weird. It makes me feel mad. And we'll get to that conversation later. But the thing is, I guess they do this whole group split up thing. Of course, Jirou and Akari are together. And it's funny because Akari's like, I'm always with this guy. And you know, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter. Just go get what we got to get. So they're getting, like, I think ice cream or something like that. I forgot what they were supposed to get. They were getting something. So hold on a quick second, guys. Okay, back. But what I was saying, Okay, yeah, they go get these whole thing. They go get these what they need. This food item, I forgot. And they're only going because guess what? It's a couples discount kind of thing that they're a couple that can get discounts. And obviously Jiro's kind of feeling unsure and everything, and Kari's like, please, you gotta use the advantage to it, man. Come on. I'm like, yes, use the advantage. Pretend like you're her boyfriend or everything. And then again, she makes him rap who's like, well, we're technically married, so, you know, technically we are a couple. So it lines up and makes sense. And so he ends up hearing their order number. He goes, gets the food. Of course, you get your typical scene in these romance animes where it's at a beach, main girl ends up getting pressed by these guys that are hitting on her and touching her and feeling up on her and everything. Jirou comes back, he sees it, he's like, whoa, are these people that Akari knows? And I'm just like, dude, come on, man. You can't be that dense, bro. How would she know these girls? And she looks uncomfortable. He goes up there, he's like, so, do you guys know her? Yeah, you know Akari or something? And they're like, yeah, we know her. We're acquaintances of her and everything. And obviously Akari's giving him the looks like, dude, come on, bro. I don't know these guys. And, you know, Jiro's kind of stuttering. He doesn't know what he should do. And I'm just like, dude, come on. Just freaking grab her and say, that's my girlfriend right there. You know, get your hands off of her. He does eventually he does say, like, hey, I think you should let her go. She looks uncomfortable. And then eventually he just grabs her and yanks her. He's like, that's my wife you got. And they're like, oh, whoa, my bad. Sorry, dude. I didn't know. And everything. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. The reason why I facepalmed for that scene is because it took this man, like, literally, like, almost 2-3 minutes to finally do something and everything. And I'm like, dude, come on. You gotta have better confidence. See, this is the side of Jirou where it kind of pisses me off a bit, where it's like, dude, it's something obvious. Have the balls, step up, and freaking, like, protect in your case, your girl. And technically that's the case. Technically that Akari is his girl. And everything. You know, I understand in his eyes he feels like we're not an item, we're not a dating couple, but you know, I'm like, dude, come on. You got to do it. At least do something. So obviously she's a little bit upset and everything about him about that, and she's like, why the freaking hell did it take you so long to do that? And then also too, he's like, I'm so sorry. He apologizes after saying, like, you know, we're a married couple, you know, we're married. And she's like, dude, why are you apologizing for that? You know? And she pretty much says, like, that's one of the things that pisses me off about you. And you know, the thing what we know is she actually enjoyed that. She liked that. She appreciated it a whole lot because, again, it's a guy that she likes, freaking not only protecting her, but pretty much admitting the fact that, like, hey, you know, this is my girlfriend, this is my wife, yada, 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 however you want to word it. She enjoyed it. She liked it. She got flustered from it. And she's like, come on, let's go. And she's like pushing him. She's behind him. And she's like, I don't know how much more I can take of this. So yeah, that's kind of the whole thing there. That leads into the bath scene, where Akari and her friends are talking. Mei and Shiori, they end up walking in. Well, you get I guess a funny little scene with Mei and Shiori. Like, they're talking about, like, their tan lines and everything, because I guess they got tans, of course. You go to the beach and it's all sunny, you're gonna get tanned up eventually. You know, we have it where Shiori touches, like, Mei's freaking, like, hip line where pretty much her underwears are at. And May just like, oh, don't touch me right there. She freaks out because we know May has a thing for Shiori. She likes Shiori, which was absolutely funny. So yes, I am not. Oh, so early walk-in. I'm not going to talk about the booty sizes of Shiori and May. I'll just say that they're big. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. But in the meantime, in this whole discussion, they're overhearing Akari and her friends talk about like, oh, what do you find best in a guy and everything, you know, and they're talking about like doing the dirty, you know, doing the sex stuff. We actually kind of find out that Akari's friend, the one blonde chick, she actually has done it, and I'm like, oh, she's had 2 boyfriends, and okay, she's done it, and I'm like, you're bold indeed. Okay. And they're just talking about like what leads into that whole thing, like what do they want a man or a guy to do in terms of that lead. They're talking about like, well, they're talking about a bunch of other things. They're like, well, you know, they want confidence in a man and everything. So yeah, they're kind of just like, eventually Shiori and May walk in on this conversation. They kind of feel out of place and everything about it. And eventually what happens, they ask May, because May's like, hey, I'm sorry that we walked in on your conversation, but we can like hear you guys and we feel kind of out of place. And they're just like, hey, May, so what would you do in this situation? Pretty much May kind of just gives the pretty much the good typical answer a girl should always give. You know, she pretty much says it doesn't matter if you do it with a guy or not. You know, you should look at a guy for who they are, for how good they are as a person, not, you know, into the looks department and everything. And if they're always looking at you and you're looking back at them and you have some sort of chemistry and you like each other, well then, you know, and the person's good inside and you know that, well then what's stopping you? I don't think that should determine whether you should do it with them or not. And that was a good, I don't know, it was a good answer. I liked May's answer. She's just pretty much saying like, it shouldn't, looks and anything else shouldn't have to matter. It should just, the person inside, the person who they are, you know, are they a good person? You know, that should matter the most. And I'm like, yes, that's how it should matter. You know, and that goes on both sides. I'm like, that goes on both sides. You know, I kind of wish in today's society there were more males and females, not always like the cheating bunch where they just go behind their spouses' backs. Like, I want trust and everything. And in today's society, it's kind of hard to find that. I'm not saying, you know, you can't, it's like not likely out there. There's people out there, but like I said, there's good, bad people, indifferent. It's just, I guess you would say, a lot harder to find loyal people nowadays compared to maybe back in the day. But that's kind of the thing. But anyways, that's kind of the whole thing that leads into this whole Akari and Shiori, they kind of have a talk and everything. They're like, oh, you know, they're talking about how they feel kind of out of place. Shiori tells Akari like, yeah, I kind of felt out of place about this whole thing, this whole discussion that your friends were talking about. It's just, you know, I don't talk like that stuff. And even Akari's like, oh yeah, actually I feel kind of out of place about that too. And Shiori's like, oh really? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, ha 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 ha. And then deep down in their hardest of hearts, they're like, well, if it was Jirou-kun, I'm just like, oh god, this dude. Both the girls are just wondering, like, what if happens if I have sex with Jirou? Oh my god. So yes. So then we get the back half of the episode, which is strictly Akari and Jirou content, and I loved this every single moment. And I was on the edge of my seat. Well, I was watching this episode in my bed, but I was on the edge of my bed, like, are they gonna do? Are they yeah. So, anyways, Akari walks out of the bath. She runs into Jirou, and she's like, "So, how was the men's bath?" And you know, Jirou's like, "I liked it. I enjoyed it." And then eventually Akari picks up the fact that Jirou's kind of sunburned. So she's getting some, I guess she gets some like lotion or cream to heal the sunburn up, and she's putting it on his neck. And the one thing we kind of see about this in this episode too, along with the whole Jirou always, where Akari feels like Jirou shouldn't be apologizing so much as he always does, but especially if he's apologizing for what he doesn't know, for why he's apologizing. Or how about the she's Akari is also upset at Jirou when he apologizes, and she always tells him like, "Why are you apologizing when you have no idea for what you're apologizing for?" So another thing that she kind of gets upset about him in this episode is, Jiro is like, I don't know if we should be doing this like out in public. I don't want others to see you. And Akari's like, what are you talking about? Who cares if they see us? I'm helping you. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want somebody to walk in and see us. I think it's weird and think or get a wrong impression. So pretty much we kind of see it to where Jiro kind of has some sort of weird, like, I guess, social complex where they think since he's just an average Joe of a guy, if somebody sees him with Akari, who is pretty much a hottie, a hot chick, he thinks that people are going to form opinions and they're going to think, like, what the hell is this guy doing with this girl? Now, we later find out when they have their one-on-one to talk at the end of the episode, he pretty much is saying that because he actually doesn't want people to look at Akari in a weird way and saying like, why is this girl hanging out with this guy? She's not like very much close, or why would she be interested in a guy like that? But again, I'll get to that whole thing later. But yeah, that whole thing ends up where one of Akari's friends shows up. They end up like they're all apart from each other. I'm like, I'm like, when she walked out, I'm like, oh, she's gonna see them. But obviously they're away from each other, and they're like, so what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we were just maybe getting a drink and everything. And eventually we have it to where, well, guess what? He gets them both drinks, but the thing is, before as he's getting Akari's drink, he's like, Watanabe, what would you like? And I'm like, oh no. She's like, I'll take an apple juice. And my guy's like, oh shit. He gets her the juice, they walk away, and you can just freaking tell from the freaking way Akari is walking up, you can tell like, oh shit, she's pissed, bro. You can't freaking say that, dude. You can't call her by her last name like that and not expect her to get pissed off. She sends him text, and she sends him this emoji, which I'm guessing if they could have allowed it, it would have been the middle finger emoji where you have the full body, of the person, and it's just giving you the middle finger, but it's like in the form of a bunny, because the bunny's just like this. And I'm like, if they could show the middle finger, they would show the middle finger. She's literally like, dude, what the fuck, bro? And she even looks back at him. She gives him this glare like, you're gonna get this, and you're gonna come and meet me. And he's like, oh, I will. Yes, I will. And I'm like, oh, great. This man's already got in trouble with Akari, bro. He's pissed. She's pissed at him. This guy is, I'm like, just don't kill him. Just don't kill him. So this leads into the last bit of the episode, where pretty much the girls are asking like, hey, where's Akari? And everything. And I forgot who said it. It was Akari's friends. Akari's friends were like, oh, she went to the convenience store and everything to go get some food. And then eventually the guys walk in on the girls and they're like, hey, where's Jirou? I'm like, we don't see him. He's nowhere to be found. And pretty much they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe he walked off somewhere and everything, maybe, and they're like, wait, where would he walk off to? And they're like, well, convenience store is open. So she always like putting two and two together, and she's like, oh shit, what if Jirou's with Akari at this convenience store? And I legitimately thought they were at the convenience store. I'm like, oh, they must have probably having this makeup talk on the way to the convenience store. No, I'm totally wrong. They're not having this makeup talk at the convenience store. They're out on the beach near this like little near, I guess, this little rest area thing and everything. Right here on the beach. And I'm like, oh, they're not at the convenience store. What the hell is going on here? And everything. And mind you, I was like thinking, like, okay, they were talking about like this whole topic about doing it and not doing it and everything. I'm like, don't tell me this. We're gonna get some sort of scene, and we're gonna see some sort of weird scene where she already walks in on these two, and they're gonna see, and she's gonna see them like maybe have some embraceful moment. She's gonna be like, oh wait, they like each other like that. And that's when she maybe will realize like Jirou likes Akari more than he likes me. And that would have been a whole thing, which I think would have made things a lot more simpler, because then it could have been where, I guess, would have paved the way for Jirou and Akari. But no, actually, they're having a discussion. Akari and Jirou are having a discussion. first thing we see here is, she's in her jacket. She's pretty much telling him, like, why are you like the way you are and everything. And pretty much Jiro's like, wait, what are you talking about? Pretty much Akari just lists down the whole thing. She's like, well, you're always apologizing. You're always apologizing for no apparent reason out in public. You never look my way in public. You call me by my last name in public, not my first name. She pretty much lists off everything that Jirou does opposite of what he would do in their own typical apartment room complex. And pretty much she's like, well, it's so stupid that you're like this. Mind you, she takes off her jacket, or she opens up her jacket, and we see that she is wearing the bikini we saw last week, or a few weeks ago, from I remember. But the one where she pretty much told Jirou that, when we go to the beach together alone, I'm gonna be wearing this just for you. And Jirou sees this and he's like, she wasn't fucking lying. And I'm like, no shit, she wasn't lying. So she's wearing this bikini, and I'm like, oh god, things are getting spicy here. Spicy moments. And I'm just enjoying every bit of this. I'm just like, okay, where is this gonna go? Where does this go? She's wearing a very revealing bikini. She's telling Jirou, like, I don't like you doing this. She also makes the mention, like, I don't like you also talking around other girls and everything, because it makes me feel weird inside, and I don't like it. Pretty much acknowledging that the fact that she's jealous when she sees Jirou hanging out with Shiori or any other girls, and he's having a good old time, but with her, he ends up being so unsure, so weird, not himself. That's the one thing. I think that was kind of the whole thing that she wanted to get the point across. She's like, why can't you just act like yourself when you're around me, when we're just alone together? But if it's around other people, you act completely different around me. But I see you going around other girls, you act fine, and I don't like that. And Jirou's like, well, hold on. The way you're talking, it sounds, and he's listened to everything that she said. He's like, it sounds like you're a jealous girlfriend and everything. And I'm just like, yes, we're finally putting the pieces together. He's realizing that Akari is jealous of him, when he's spending time with other girls, like with Shiori, for example. He's putting these things down. He's hearing this. I'm like, yes, we can finally take this relationship to the next step and everything. I'm like, yes, let's go. We're making progress. And then Akari's like, no, I'm not jealous like that. Please, you must be out of your damn mind. And I'm just like, my god, sorry. And I heard that line, and I'm just like, you freaking killed it, girl. Come on. See, this is what I said. I think I made a mention to this last week, is that eventually Akari and Jirou both have to accept and realize and admit to their feelings. Akari in this case, Jirou's breaking it down one by one, and he clearly is now seeing, like, okay, she's jealous. And when Akari's like, I'm not jealous, man, get out of here, please. I'm like, dude, you're just ruining the scene. If you just say, yes, I'm jealous, Jirou would understand your feelings, and maybe he would embrace you for that. And he would be more understanding, and maybe he would like you more, girl. Because you keep freaking, messing with him and everything. And even Jirou makes a mention to it in a little bit later in this whole tense scene, because he's like, you always keep leading me on and everything. You always say, like, you always say, in this moment. So how can I understand if you're telling me, you feel like this all the time? So yeah, also too, when it was also a funny scene when Akari reveals her bikini, she grabs her face. She's just like, look at me. She grabs Jirou's face. She's literally grabbing it to the point where he literally could touch her boobs, like, with his face alone. And she's just like, look, just look, keep looking at me. And I'm like, geez. I'm like, calm down. I'm like, I think anybody would look at you if you're wearing a very revealing bikini, and the number one thing people will probably look at is the chest area. Simple as that. In the meantime, throughout this conversation they're having, they hear Mei and Shiori. They're like, oh shit, somebody's coming. Mei, it looks like they're gonna bump into them. I'm like, okay, they're gonna bump into them, they're gonna see them, and it's like, what the hell they're doing and everything. And also, mind you, Jirou was also propped up against Akari, the whole wall thing, because Akari pushed him to her, and I'm just like, oh, are they gonna kiss here? And again, there's this whole thing where Akari just wants Jirou to just only look at her, pretty much. So I'm like, okay, we're getting a tense moment. And so Shiori and Mei, they walk up, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna see them, they're gonna get the wrong idea, and they're gonna be like, what's going on here? And it could be the only thing, like, it's not what it looks like. But no, they're crammed in I guess this one sitting room. I don't know if it's like supposed to be the representation of a bathroom, I'm guessing, but they're sitting right there, and they can hear them and everything. Mei and Shiori, they just start talking, and they're like, hey, we gotta keep it quiet, then we don't want them to see us because they'll get the wrong idea and everything. And in the meantime, Akari's looking at Jirou, and she's like, you're only paying attention to what Shiori wants and what she potentially could see out of this. You never pay attention to me. Again, Jirou doesn't hear. They're whispering and everything. And, everything's getting freaking crazy and everything. And, eventually she grabs his face. She's like, just look at me for once, please. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, they're like, when I mean, in the position that they're in, he's sitting, she's literally sitting on top of him. Like, if I could freaking demonstrate it, I would, but no, I'm not, because I don't want to. But she's literally sitting on his legs and everything, and it's absolutely crazy. I'm just like, oh, spicy, spicy, spicy. She's wearing this bikini and everything, and I'm like, what do I have a feeling like we get a kiss scene here? They're gonna start making out or something. Then we get another tease here. So yeah, eventually Mei and Shiori hear something and they think it's them, but no, when it looks like, oh, they're gonna walk in on them, no, it isn't. They actually look around, they're like, no, nothing's there. They look like they're about to walk off and leave, but eventually we have it to where the problem is it's hot in the area where they're at, and Jiro's kind of sweating profusely right now, and some of his sweat drops on Akari's chest, and she starts freaking out and everything, and there's some rumbling going around, and they're like, wait, what the heck is that? She already thinks it's a ghost and everything, and they're just like, what are you Jiro's like, what are you doing? Or Akari's like, what are you doing? It's absolutely hilarious content right here, and I'm just like, oh, they're gonna get caught, and everything. So eventually Mei and Shiori leave because Shiori's just too scared and everything, and it gets to the point where they're gone, and this is when we have another argument between the two start out, and then Jirou, he goes on to make the mention, like, you want me to do all these things for you, but you keep saying at that moment, like you just made a mention now at that moment, like we should get out of here and everything. And Jiro's pretty much like, are you trying to play me for a fool? You're always messing with me like that. You never, like, so does that mean like your feelings were never sincere like that? Pretty much saying like, you always mess with me. You always say you want me to do this for you, but then all of a sudden you want me to not do those things because you directly say in that exact moment. Like, pretty much Jiro's at the point, because let's look at the past few episodes. She has been doing the whole thing where she's like, I'm just kidding with you. I'm just messing with you. And Jiro's like, well, are you messing with me now? Are you like being serious with me? I'm like, if Akari was just honest with her feelings and she's just like, no, I'm not messing with you, I really mean those things, then he would get the point. And everything. And eventually it gets to the point where you get this funny scene where eventually they're so close together and everything, and she's like, well, okay, whatever, it is what it is, can you just get off me, can you get your leg off me? And Jiro's like, that's not my leg, Akari, it's something else. And I'm just like, well, then things get more interesting, right? It wasn't his legs, it was something else in between. So pretty much Jirou got hard for Akari right then and there, and she's like, wait, and that was strictly for me? And Jirou just gives this look of like flusteredness and everything. He doesn't answer her indirectly the fact like, yes, me just looking at you alone got me hard, which was absolutely funny, but his stick poked up really big, I guess. So that's kind of the thing. He ends up falling down on top of her, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I thought they were gonna kiss. I literally thought in this scene they were gonna kiss. They were gonna kiss. Well, I thought he was actually gonna kiss her. At first, I thought there was gonna be moments, especially when she was grabbing his face at the start of this whole scene. I'm like, oh, she's gonna kiss him, so he can focus on her and everything. But no, I literally thought, I'm like, he's going in for the kiss. I'm like, geez, you got balls, man. You got balls. He's going in for the kiss, but he falls on top of her, and Akari's kind of freaking out. She's like, Jirou, I don't know if this is the appropriate place to do it. I don't feel comfortable doing it right here. You think like maybe he's potentially like, kissing her neck and everything, at least warming her up in a way. But no, he actually had a mild heat stroke because the area they were in was pretty hot. So they go back to the area. She tells him that. And pretty much Jirou again apologizes for what he told her earlier, which was the whole thing like, are you playing me for a fool and everything, and Akari's just like, no, you don't have, again, there you go apologizing. You don't have to apologize. It is what it is. But, she's like, listen, just act like, pretty much she just wants him to act like himself around her. She just wants him to do all these things and not be afraid. So, yeah, that's kind of where the episode ends off. I enjoyed this episode from the beginning to end, and I honestly might rewatch this episode again. Just from that part alone, I'm like, spicy moments. I know this episode review went on long enough. Typically I try to keep, especially these ones, short, but I wanted to get everything across the point. But next week episode, literally the title is called Not a Confession, or something, a confession but not a broken heart, or more than a confession, not a broken heart. Don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I can't wait for next Sunday. We only have 2 more episodes of the show left, and yeah, I'm so tempted. I might just read the freaking manga right now, dude. I really love this show. I don't want to see the relationship grow between Akari, but I think we made some massive progress here. I really do believe we made some massive progress. But oh, I also forgot to mention in their discussion, the reason why Jirou said he acts the way he acts is because he doesn't want other people to view Akari in some sort of way where, it's like, oh, why is that girl hanging out with this guy? And I think the problem is Jirou has kind of a social complex where he's afraid to just be himself, and just be around somebody, let's be honest, he cares about, out in public. But I'm like, dude, you shouldn't matter. I'm like, it shouldn't have to matter. I'm like, this girl's like there every day with you. She clearly has feelings for you. She's wearing a straight up bikini, like, for you, and it isn't just any old bikini. It's like a very revealing bikini. She's doing it all for you. I'm like, I don't think she cares about what people see, what people sees. And she even says, like, I don't care what people think. I don't care who sees. I just want you to be yourself around me. So it's interesting. I was also shocked that in the bath scene, Akari's friends didn't bring the fact. So like, well, they actually did bring the fact about Jirou, but they didn't go into different like things like, so are you gonna make your decision on if you like him and everything? Because her friends know that she's into Jirou. Like, I think that would have made the scene a lot more tense, because then Shiro could be like, wait, she likes Jirou? So yeah, but another solid episode of More Than a Married Couple. Can't wait for the next week episode. And yeah, but if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of More Than a Married Couple, or getting any more anime episode reviews that I do on the channel. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your Sunday. Till then, guys, peace. Hey guys, actually one thing I forgot to make mention at the end of the episode, they go back, they make up, but the one thing that I forgot to make a mention in the video, in the original video, the takeaway that I took is the fact that, Akari wants Jirou to know a lot more about her than just her attractive features, whether that's her big boobs, obviously her great looking body. And she wants Jirou to know more about her. She wants her to know like things I like, things I don't like, typical things that, she desires for. At the same time, she also wants to know more about Jirou, what makes him so special. And she pretty much says, like, well, that would make it fun, right? If we knew each other a lot better. So yeah. And then again, she's like, we're still married. And Jirou ends off the episode saying, like, the one thing that made it all interesting, the fact that when she said still, it left an odd place, or left an odd, like, I guess you could say, spot in where I felt. So I'm guessing that's meaning Jirou's like, well, she still wants to be like an item, I guess you can say. But like I said, I think this is all leading down to the fact that they're gonna eventually hook up and they're gonna end up dating because they're a perfect couple. But that's just what I wanted to say. I forgot to make a mention of that part, but it seems like maybe the next 2 episodes they could cover maybe Jirou and Akari getting to know each other, the people, the person of each other a lot better, which maybe could lead into next week. But yeah, till then, guys, catch you guys later. Peace.